All right, all right. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. I get a kick of that song every time we play it. All right. Hopefully you had a great day and had a great weekend. It was a beautiful weekend here, at least in Huntsville. And we're glad that you are joining us tonight. If you are new to the show, this is Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. And here on our channel, we help to educate you. We help to empower you. And we help to encourage you to take charge of your health, avoid complications, live a healthy, fulfilling life, and go to the next level. That's what we do. And tonight I'm excited because we're going to be talking about mental health, why mental health matters. And we've got a wonderful guest who is with us tonight who help us have that discussion. But before we bring him up, if you are new to the channel, if you are new to this area, go ahead and put new in the comments because we would love to say hello, to welcome you to the neighborhood, welcome you to our community, welcome you to our family. Also, if you have a question, go ahead and put that question in the comments. And we will be happy to get to that question for you as we get into the night. And make sure you put a Q in front of that question, and we'll go from there. Yeah, you saw one of my graphics popped up. That's not the one I intended to put up yet, but that's okay. I'm glad that you are here. As you see, I have on tonight the Trash Pandas, right? So every night I come on, we rep somebody. We've got some shirts that we've been wearing, and you see that. So shout out to the Trash Pandas. If you have not already done so, go ahead and check them out. You know, they're in their season. One of my favorite people said that she went to a game this weekend. So that's cool. All right. So make sure that you check them out. And we'll be going out there too. Right. Yesterday we were at Top Golf with our team, and we had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. Awesome. Well, let's see who is here with us before we get into the Monica. What's up? Hey, Monica, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome to you. Glad that you are here. I'm just gonna type Monica. All right. Let's see who else we've got. Lauren, what's up, Lauren? Glad that you are with us. All right, there we go. So Lauren's there. We've got, and let's see, The Wise One. Hey, welcome. What's up, Chantel? How are you? Welcome. Yeah, we're gonna give a shout out to you in a little bit as well. I know you're not on the show officially, but that's okay. All right. So that graphic needs to go away. There we go. All right. There we go. All right. So that's what happens when you're live, right? So things don't always come out with the way you want, but that's okay. All right. So we are here. And so tonight we are talking about mental health. And to have a conversation with us tonight, we have a friend of mine that I've known. I'm not even sure how long we've known each other, but that's okay. Mr. Joya Wise, who is here in Huntsville and is the owner, director, one of the counselors there at Aspire. And so let's just go ahead and let's bring him up on the screen. There we go. Hey, Joya, how you doing, man? Welcome.
All right. How's it going, Doc? Good to be
It
with
is
you
going
tonight.
well, man. Yeah, glad that you're here. Welcome. Let me give you, there you go. Some hand
I like
claps.
it. I like it, man.
And
You
some
got
music.
man. Oh, music too. When I grow up.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Well, we are so glad that you decided and agreed to come and have this conversation with us tonight. It's so mental health, and we'll get into that here in a minute. But why don't you just take a minute, Joya, and tell the people who you are, what you do, give just a brief thumbnail about you and what goes on in your life.
Definitely. My name, again, like he says, Choya Wise, and I'm with Aspire Counseling and Consulting Services. I am the owner of Aspire Counseling Consulting Services. We're a small group practice where we specialize in relationship counseling, but not just relationship counseling. We also support with anxiety, depression, many of the concerns that you might be experiencing just on throughout the day-to-day life. I've taken on some level of leadership in the community. I've got a Facebook group where I support social workers in the community. So any social workers watches, shout out to the social workers. And yeah, I'm just out here, just trying to make the world a better place, one step at a time. One step at a time. So that's what we do.
Well, I love that. Love that, man. Glad that you are out there doing what you do, because it is, as we'll talk here in a minute, it's a big deal, and so we want to make sure that our folks are getting the help that they need. All right, so let's see. Look at this, Charmaine Wood. Dr. Charmaine is out there.
Shout out to the lady. Yeah, shout out to Charmaine.
All right. And Monica says that Wade is watching and says hello. So let's say hello to Wade. Hello, Wade. Awesome. Glad that you are with us as well and watching. Awesome. All right. So man, why don't we just jump into it, man? Because mental health. Now I'll tell you. So and this is Mental Health Awareness Month. Okay, I think they had World Mental Health back in October, and Mental Health Awareness Month is the month of May. And honestly, sometimes when we think mental health, right, we think about that weird uncle, that weird cousin, the guy that's living under the bridge. Is that kind of the picture that we should have when we think about mental health?
That may be part of the picture. That's not the entire picture. It is included.
Right.
It is included. But I think mental health is a broader and general has a broader and general more general definition. When we're talking about mental health, we're just talking about your emotional well-being. That has a lot to do with mental health. How well am I doing communicating? How well am I doing with life? Am I happy? Am I sad? Am I stuck in bed because of circumstances that have just been surrounding my thinking? Am I feeling energetic? Am I feeling fatigued? All of these things have something to do with mental health. So a lot of times when we think about mental health, we may be thinking about the extremes. I had someone I was talking to, it was like, a couple people, it was like, just, I had no idea that I was experiencing anxiety, or never had an idea that I was experiencing depression, because we have this view of what that looks like, but a lot of times it's really so far from what we think. You can tell if you know that you're just not okay. That means that there may be some mental health things going on when you know that you're not okay.
Right. Okay. So really you're saying that sometimes when we think mental health, we're actually thinking about the extreme cases of mental health.
Extremes. Yeah, we're thinking about, someone that we've seen on a movie, or somebody that's locked up on the psych ward, or somebody that's hearing things and, watching around and things like that. Like I said, that's an aspect of mental health, but it's a whole lot more to it than that. And just for the simple fact that a lot of us don't recognize that there's a bigger picture, sometimes we can end up moving into situations that are like that because we didn't get help soon enough, because we didn't think we were like that. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just amazing, the phenomenon of the mind.
Right. So some of the things that you mentioned though seem kind of, simple. Everybody experiences some anxiety. Sometimes we worry about we're late to the job, somebody in the family is sick, and so all those things, and you're saying all those things are involved with mental health.
Yes, it's all relevant. It's all relevant when you are feeling and noticing changes in your body. It's like, it's like with mental health, it seems like the thing that, especially with some cultures, that we just kind of leave out.
Mm,
We know that we need to eat.
right.
We know we need to rest. When it comes to if we want to do better on the job, we go and get the coaching. We'll pay the money to if it's going to guarantee us some success in certain areas. But when it comes to our relationships and when it comes to mental health, for some reason, sometimes we've been just taught to believe that you just need to pray and figure that out on your own. And don't get me wrong, I'm a praying
Mhm.
man. Do
Right.
that first. Do you see what
Right.
I'm saying? But we don't want to just leave it there.
Right.
I think the Bible says, faith without works, man. So we got to put something in on it.
Come on now.
So
Oh wait. Okay.
don't get me
So
to preaching because that's not my,
we
yeah.
we going to church. Now I'll tell you the text that I use a lot, and this comes also as it relates to just kind of general medicine, right? So the Bible says watch and pray. So the
Watch
watch
and
part is
pray.
doing some stuff, right? Keep your eyes
Yes,
open and watch
yeah.
around. Don't just close your
Being
eyes and be
mindful.
praying. Right, be
Yes.
mindful. So
That's
all
so
right,
true. I love that. That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that.
but
Yeah.
that's the one I use. And I tell people, I said, you may not believe in medicine, but that's okay. If you see me at the side of the street and I've been hurt or something, please call a doctor and give me all the
Yes.
medicine you can find to keep me out
Yes.
of pain, take me to the
Yes.
hospital, and
Yes.
then you can, right? So
No
we're
doubt.
gonna get in trouble. I need to
No.
stop.
That's real though. You keeping it real. That's what it is. Yeah, yeah. Some people might, but hey,
But
you're pretty
you are so
confident.
right. I know that in our community, right, the African American community, and in a lot of communities, mental health is seen as one of those things. Well, yeah, if we can buck up, right, if we can have self determination, if we were faithful enough, if we prayed enough, if we went to church enough, if we read our Bible enough, that we wouldn't suffer from some of those things. And
Yeah.
while that has its place, it is so true that you may need help. Okay, so yeah, I love that you said that. So
Yeah.
that's mental health. So it's not just necessarily the extreme. Talk about the extreme for a minute, because we're gonna circle back around and talk about this more so. And there was a word as we were talking, get ready for the show. You used the word crisis, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a
Yeah.
little bit. What does crisis mean?
Ooh, crisis is a big one. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'll start on a smaller level with crisis. Okay, so it's a crisis if I decide I want to take myself out. It's a
Mm,
crisis if I can't stop these thoughts and I don't know that I want to take myself out. That's a crisis. You
right.
know, it's a crisis when when I'm not eating for a whole week. It's a
Mm-hmm.
crisis when I've been up and I can't sleep for 3 or 4 days.
Mm,
Okay. Those are crises that we may not acknowledge or know are actually crisis. These are signs that something is going wrong. It could be something medical, and a lot of times it could be something mental. Now, there's also crisis when we're talking about more acute disorder, such as schizophrenia, things of that nature. So I'm hearing voices, okay, and it's not God. I'm hearing, I'm seeing things, I'm smelling things and there's no aroma in the environment that suggests that I should be smelling those types of things. Those are crises as well. So there are different levels of crisis. um I think in some ways, some of the symptoms kind of commingle with various disorders. I think personality disorder is a crisis if you don't know about it, because you're doing things to other people and to yourself many times that is very harmful. To me, that's a crisis. um, Delusions are crisis. I'm thinking that things are going on that don't exist. So there are various crises that we can experience, but there are different levels as well.
Okay, so lots of different ways that we can experience crises. Now, when I was preparing for this and talking, reading, so when we talk about mental health, there
Okay.
are definitely some medical psychiatric aspects to mental health, right?
Okay. Yes,
Um,
sir.
so you mentioned schizophrenia,
Mhm.
bipolar disorder,
Mhm.
manic depression, and some of those. Um, how 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 does someone get to a crisis?
Mm.
Right,
That's a
you
really
kind of
good question.
mentioned, and I know I'm spending some
Yeah.
time with crisis. We'll come back and talk about some of the things
No.
leading to that. But how does
Yeah.
someone get to a crisis?
Well, I was watching this documentary. Um, I think it's the guy's name was Khalif or something like that. But because I've always been fascinated, do we just have to have this in the genes to move to the more acute phases, or can things happen in our environment? For instance, you have people who have experienced rape and things like that in their adulthood, that because of that crisis, it now starts to bring about something that's like it can lead to, I mean, it's not a common thing, but it actually can lead to delusions and hallucinations and things like that. Because this is the thing that we should know, and I don't want to scare anybody, but we're actually all about one crisis away from being on the unit. Just one
Oh,
crisis away. Just one crisis away. Because see, we automatically assume that we have capacity to handle crisis, but you
mhm,
really never know how you will handle crisis until it's in front of you. If someone was to see, we're not just talking about, I talk about one crisis. I'm talking about something brutal or not
mhm,
brutal. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? If someone close to you, if it's a child or a loved one, and you lost them in a big way that was gory, it was bad. That's enough to take somebody there. Do you see what I'm
Right.
saying? Without the proper support, these are not things that we anticipate. Crises are like accidents. You don't plan for it to happen. It just kind of just occurs.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so, when you are not in the right place with the right supports, then sometimes you can get taken over.
Right.
Some of us don't recognize that we have been traumatized. Some of us don't
Wow.
recognize that we have experienced trauma, and we think that we have moved past it. Doc, I have individuals that come and see me that have dissociated. In other
Mm.
words, when you dissociate, you no longer remember that trauma even occurred. So
Right.
it's I used to think that was like, oh, come on now, how you don't remember something like
Yeah.
that. But that's how the reason being is because what the mind is trying to do. I don't know if you've ever tried to work out, before you might get on the treadmill, and as soon as you start, the body just says, just quit.
Yeah.
Just stop now while you're ahead.
Yep.
You don't have to do this.
Hey, that
You know
happens
what
all
I'm
the
saying?
time.
You know what I'm saying? So the mind is actually trying to correct, uh it's trying to protect us from a crisis. It's telling
Right.
you, you're gonna die on this treadmill, man. Are you crazy? Get off, save yourself. you know and so it's similar if you have experienced something more traumatic,
Right.
with some
Right.
people that have been
Hmm.
exposed to things that they should not have had to be exposed to. The mind will use a mechanism for some people to protect and put it somewhere where they're not even aware that it occurred. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? So you're when I say one crisis away, something else that happens in your life can trigger and bring something about that you never even dealt with, and then that's when you're on the unit.
Wow.
You feel what
Wow.
I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's
Not saying that
amazing.
happens a lot, but it occurs. It's it's
Right.
it's, it's
Yeah.
common enough. Yeah.
Now, one of the and we interact with patients, right? So we have common patients, and let's pivot for a minute, okay? And
Okay.
when I'm treating someone and I'm treating diabetes, I'm treating, I don't know, high cholesterol, I'm treating weight issues. There's sometimes I'm talking to someone and I realize that, hey, we're really not getting anywhere in the management of this disease.
Mm.
And it's really not the disease that's the issue. There's something else going on with them. And so a lot of times we'll send, people to you and say, hey, I need you to see, I need you to go to Aspire. I need you to talk to Mr. Wise. Talk to me a little bit about the interplay between mental health and other medical conditions.
Okay, so that's good, and I guess we could start with the example, like for some of the folks that you'll send me that have things going on, but it's like, hey, we can't even get you fixed because there may be some other things going on. We need you to go to Aspire. Okay, let's just start there. So this is the thing. When you are having emotional concerns, right? When you are having, you asked me a question earlier, Doc, when you said, what brings this stuff on? And believe it or not, what brings on some symptoms, even with schizophrenics, one of the most common things is stress.
Mm.
Okay. So any disorder, any mental health disorder that you might have, or even if it's not disorder, something that may make you feel like you having disorder, stress is a common thing, a common component that brings about those type of situations. So relative to condition, relative to the medical. So I don't know any of you all that's listening, if you have ever been in a situation where you're really stressed out and you're on a diet. Maybe the diet is stressing you out. That's the thing, right?
That's right.
But it's stressed out on a diet. I was watching this thing with Will Smith, and not to slap, but I was watching. We'll talk about that maybe, but that's a whole nother
Yeah,
thing.
we can do a show on this lap.
Yeah.
Some stress is going on over there. Some mental.
You feel what I'm saying? Hey, we're just a crisis away, man. The crisis for you may not be a crisis for me. It could be a small thing to you, right? But the thing is that what happens is, the body, when we're under stress, whether it's because of a diet, whether it's because of relationship issues and things like that, like maintaining and working out, maintaining your meals and working out, doing the things that that you should be doing most in your life. A lot of times, this is the time where much of that is at risk. So much can just go out the door, because when we're under stress, we have the tendency to lose discipline.
Wow.
We have the tendency to lose discipline. So you may have been going very well for an extended period of time, but when that stress comes about, you can't schedule things correctly. You're not following through. You're irritable. You're restless. You're not following up on your diet. So Dr. Wood, he's trying to help you out, but it's like things are getting worse.
Right.
Because there's something going on emotionally that needs to be dealt with. If you're in a bad relationship, if you have a child, you don't know if they're going to get locked up. Like, as much as you want to, it's going to be very difficult for you to be disciplined the way that you need to be in order to save your health. Matter of fact, I think, and Doc, you may know something about this to give it better context. They had this study out some time ago, and it was like, what would cause people that come to you to feel like, okay, I want to save my life? What would cause them to make that change? And they were exploring, if I tell you you're going to die, will that do it? And the answer is no.
Right.
No. The more of the answer was, make me feel better now.
Okay.
You feel what I'm saying? Help me, like, things that make my quality of life better now. And I think that's similar to what happens with someone who may be experiencing trouble with, if they're having some type of medical problems. And Doc, you can speak better on this. I'm not an expert on this. Many times in health, in mental health, when the more stress we have, the more our vitals, the more the blood pressure, maybe even diabetic symptoms, things of that, the numbers get worse.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? Am I correct?
You're correct.
Yeah. So stress brings on a lot of hell for us. And so when a lot of times, in order to sometimes handle the medical, the emotional needs to be handled as well. But see, we'll go sometimes to get the medical, but we don't want to do the emotional.
Not the emotional.
Oh, you're going to bring up some stuff in my childhood. I try to let that go now. No, we don't have to use that approach. You know what I'm saying? So that I hope that helped a little bit, but that kind of gets us off sometimes.
Right.
Also, our vices start kind of elevating. We start to drink. If you're a drinker, if you was on some drugs, you go back to the drugs. If you was promiscuous, you're doing all that, all the vices have the tendency to just get out of hand. Of course, if you got eating problems, then them endorphins get to going when you throwing that food in your mouth. You're not thinking about life.
Hey, don't talk about my ice cream, okay? Don't talk about my ice cream.
I know, man. That ice cream, man. That's a tough one.
Oh man. But you bring up 2 points. As you were talking, I was jotting down here, and the first one is, often people think that they just don't have self-control.
Okay.
So things are going along fine, and some stressor happens, and they kind of lose their way, and they'll come to me and they'll say, "Oh, if I was just a little stronger, if I just had a little bit more self-control." Talk to that for a minute.
That's another phenomenon, because a lot of times that kind of thinking is what actually creates a situation to where we end up doing worse, because now I'm guilting and shaming myself. Now I'm saying you're not tough enough, and without going real deep on that, a lot of times that whole thinking, that whole mentality, like I have clients that come into the office and they'll start crying, and they're like, "Oh, I'm mad." I'm mad that I'm crying. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of times the culture that they have been in, they've been trained and groomed that you're not supposed to emote this way. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so in a situation like what you're talking about, a lot of times people, there's history to that I'm supposed to be tough. So then that's rooting to now, because I'm not tough enough, what? I'm kind of a failure.
Yeah.
That's that it all goes back to that. I'm a failure, or I'm not good enough. And a lot of times we're not recognizing that a lot of these things come from other situations, a lot of times that we get into in counseling. But the thing is, sometimes we're far too harsh on ourselves than what we need to be.
Right.
But sometimes counseling helps us to give ourselves a little bit of room, not to pity party ourselves, not make ourselves accountable. But like, when you learn to treat yourself like that, when you learn to be negative, when you learn to call yourself stupid, when you learn to even when you do good things, not validate yourself, or not, I was listening to Shaquille O'Neal. He was saying when he was young, every time when he achieved something, he would get a trophy, his dad would just snatch it from him. He's like, okay, because he didn't want him to get settled. But
Right.
that worked for Shaquille. But a lot of times it doesn't work in your mind, because you never let yourself off the hook. Nothing's ever good enough. You can't even have a good day to say, "Hey, I've done well."
Woo!
I've done well. Validation.
Wow.
So that's relative, I think.
Oh man, you said, man. I'm as you're talking, man. I'm writing down. I'm gonna have to transcribe this, and I'm gonna have to just write it and just listen to it over and over and over.
That's
So
what's
beautiful. I like that.
up.
Well, hey, let's pause for a minute. Let's see what else we got out here. So I see that we have Miss Jeanette Walters. Hey, Jeanette, how are you doing? Good evening. Welcome. We got Mr. Gary Jones that says greetings to everyone. We're glad that you are coming through, Gary. Glad that you're here with us.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Charmaine says, so many of us have been conditioned to manage our emotions with food. So stress will derail. Let me put that back up so I can read the rest. So stress will derail our health program. That is so true. I did a show a little while back. Well, actually, more than a little while, with Dr. Man Dang. He's one of the oncologists here in town. And the title of it is, What's the Role of Faith and Hope in Medicine? And one of the things that I remember from the interview with him was that he said that people who have a community around them, people who go to church, people who have faith, people who are positive, right, tend to do better,
Yes.
even though they have cancer.
Wow.
Right? So there's this power in the mind that we really have not understood or tapped into or believed, because we've been taught that that's just, that's just your head, right? You treat your high blood pressure, treat your diabetes, treat your cholesterol, don't have a stroke, but just if you just think positively, you'll be good.
Yeah. That's all it takes,
so
right?
That's all it takes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So So we've talked about crises, we've talked about triggers. Now, this is an interesting one for me because
Okay.
I've been reading a lot about COVID, and we'll come to COVID for a minute in a minute.
Yeah, that's a big one.
But when we talk about mental health, is it true as they say that socioeconomic conditions
Mm.
will impact people getting mental health assistance? Well, not necessarily assistance, but even getting access. Talk about
Yeah.
that for a minute.
That's a big one. Just before we came on, we were talking a little bit about Medicaid,
Mm-hmm.
and that right there, for and I'm still trying to learn of other options. But as we try to phase into accepting Medicaid, so if you have a mother that the child is on Medicaid, then the child can receive support,
Mm-hmm.
okay, for counseling. Okay. But if that mother was to want to receive the same support, of her own,
Mm-hmm.
um, then we would have a problem a lot of times, because usually there's no insurance that will cover that unless she's disabled, maybe having Medicare or something like that, but a lot of times that's not the case. And so just that whole population right there, and there's some things that I'm trying to put in place, hopefully to be able to help some of these concerns and offer services, but that's down the road with the nonprofit once we get that. but
Mm-hmm.
but what happens is that child may be getting support, but that parent, because of the socioeconomics, is not able to get the support that's needed. And a lot of times when you are you're not doing well financially, you're living, check to check. It's worse than that. Like, I mean, everything is due always, and you're always in the rears.
Mm.
That in itself can provoke certain things. You're a single parent, and you're doing it all on your own. I've lived that life. I know what my mom had to go through just raising
Mm.
three kids by herself.
Wow.
That can cause a lot of stress on someone, and then when they need to get the help, it's not available. you know and so that becomes a factor. And then I will say insurance, if you have decent insurance, um you know I'm not gonna mention any companies, any big corporations that, nah, but a lot of I just was having some ideations here, but but for the
We
most
won't talk
part, a
about the
lot of
big
times,
gorilla here in Alabama,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
that was the big one, you probably know. But yeah, but then sometimes, even with individuals who have coverage, the copays become a concern. Some
Right.
people have larger copays or larger deductibles, and so you have a whole class of people who cannot even get in to see anyone. And so, yeah, that is a big problem. In a sense, to me, it keeps us as a community in a certain place.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can't work through those problems, if you can't work through that trauma, if you can't work through that stress in order to get your mind leveled off, I mean, imagine someone who has been through stress and trauma and can't get support anywhere because they can't afford it, and having to live their entire life and now raising children through that lens, teaching them the same things they learn, and because they don't know any better, creating stress and trauma for their children.
Right.
This is what we have cycling in a lot of especially our black and brown communities, and a lot of it's due to socioeconomics, unfortunately.
Wow. Wow. Now, one of the and this is a good segue into this the conversation about COVID-19. One of the things that we have seen in the management of COVID-19 is that because our black and brown communities did not have access, that they were more adversely affected by COVID-19. Okay. I was watching or listening to the Health and Human Services report on mental health and substance abuse and so forth. And during the whole process, we've seen an increase in substance abuse. We've seen the increase in suicide. We've seen the increase in just mental health disorders altogether. Have you seen people more depressed, more anxious, more whatever as it relates to COVID-19?
I believe so. From I would say from a business standpoint, we were at one place when COVID hit. I thought we were about to shut down. I didn't know what was next. Everybody kept saying people gonna need help more than ever now, and I'm like, well, not that I'm wishing for people to need help.
Mm-hmm.
That's the conflicting thing as far as being, that I was experiencing at that time. So I didn't want to leverage off of that for any reason. But the reality was that's what started happening. People just start literally almost taking the door down.
Mm-hmm.
In the marriages, oh my goodness,
Mm.
yeah, lots of crisis. Um, I think people are adjusting a little bit more, but there's just like a haze of stress around us. I think it's changing somewhat, but especially at that beginning stage, it was really tough and toxic because like if you were just hanging on in your relationship,
Mm.
they messed us up when they brought the kids home. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you
Right.
survived your marriage after the kids came home, you're gonna be
Mm.
all right. You're
Right,
gonna be
right,
all right.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
So that
But
that was the
yeah,
litmus test, right?
man, that was for all of us. You know, so like, babe, can we survive this? This is a bit much. You know, it's a bit much. So, it redefined relationship, redefined our
Right, right.
marriages, redefined relationships with our children. But at that time, it was pretty bad because people were coming home and they're
Mm-hmm.
having to be with each other, whether you're married or whether you're just like a lot of people will tell you flat out, I need my child to go to school. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to see him during the day. I mean, I've had
Right.
people just straight up just like, hey, I love my child to death, but
Mm-hmm.
they need to let the teachers teach and we need a break and then we come back,
Right,
you
right.
know?
Just let
And
them go
so
out
it
there and
was
then come on
forcing,
back.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
COVID was forcing everybody to have to deal with each other in a different way that I don't think any of us were prepared to do, you
Right,
know.
right.
But it's still having its impact now. And then with just anxiety, and just for our community, just in all honesty, it was very stressful because of what was going on in the news. Some not to get into
Mm.
politics, but then all of what's on the news, and so that's a thing I'm not gonna get into at all on the politics. But what I'm saying is that one of the things that I've encouraged to many of my clients is if you're going through lots of stress
Mm-hmm.
and even relationship problems stuff, you need to monitor your stressors. You see what I'm saying? And so sometimes it's good to cut back on a little bit on social media, and it's good to cut back a little bit on news. You don't know how many successful interventions I had just exclusively getting people to just stop watching the news.
Well, hold that thought for a minute. We're
All
gonna
right,
come
all
back. We're gonna talk
right.
about that.
Yeah.
But
All
this is a
right.
perfect
All right.
place for us to segue and to do a little commercial break. So,
All
guys, if
right.
you have not already done so, please check us out on all of our social media platforms. We've got LinkedIn, we've got TikTok, of course, here on our show, and Twitter, and then buy me a coffee if you'd like to support us. Remember that we are here live on Monday nights at 7 o'clock, and we have a lot more informative and exciting conversations to have, just like the one that we are having tonight. We've been talking a little bit about helping, right? Or getting help. And this is so important because we need sometimes some help getting unstuck. And we're going to have Mr. Wise give us a little plug here for Aspire. But if you are interested in coaching, right? So life coaching, diabetes coaching, remember that we've launched our service, Dr. Dwayne Wood, right? So DwayneWoodMD.com. You can go there and sign up for either life coaching, diabetes coaching, wellness coaching. And then on Buy Me a Coffee, we now have our subscription service that you can become a part of. And you'll see there the different packages that you have. Everything, of course, gives you exclusive access to show notes, special posts, shout out on our show. And you'll see there you get a little meetup with me for that starter pack, a 30 minute, folks, a 30-minute virtual assessment with me for that learner pack. And then you actually get a free 60-minute consultation, right? A full consult for me, from me, with the advanced pack. So those are some wonderful things for you to get involved with. And then I am so excited about this because you guys were here when we had this initial conversation on the show, what you need to know before you start your next diet. And Dr. Charmaine Wood on this Thursday is having her master class on the same subject, right? She is a weight loss coach, and she's going to spend some time helping you understand what you need to know before you start your next diet. And that is amazing. So let's see if I can pop that in there. Let's see. There we go. All right. So in your, that's a long link, but in your chat right now, you should have seen that link come up where you can go and sign up for that masterclass that's coming up on this Thursday. So please make yourself or avail yourself of that opportunity to get. That's a free class, by the way, right? It's a free class, and you'll get that wisdom from Dr. Charmaine Wood. So glad that you guys are here once again. And on our on our chat, you'll see somebody there listed as the Wise One, and she's laughing, but that is actually a very special person to Mr. Wise, who's on our show right now. And that is his beautiful wife. So glad that she was able to join us. Thank you for hanging out with us just a little bit, of Mrs. Wise and Chantel. All right. Oh,
Thanks
good.
for the support.
All right.
Hey.
There you go. So I stopped you, right? Because we're now getting into what I think is the best part of the conversation about mental health, right? So we know the statistics, right? That there's more depression, there's more anxiety, the self-harm has gone up, people are buffering, and guys, but the word buffering is what I use to indicate some behavior that people have that they turn to when they're not necessarily dealing with issues that need to be dealt with. So instead of having a conversation with your wife because you guys are having some trouble, you go out and you start drinking or using drugs or become promiscuous or work more, right? So whatever that buffering behavior is, okay? So all of that is out there. Number one, I want you to talk to me a little bit about triggers, okay? What are triggers? How do we identify triggers? And then at the end of that, we're going to come and talk about some things that people can do to kind of get through some of these mental health issues that they may find themselves going towards. So talk to me a little bit about triggers.
Okay, this is a big one. And I hope I can give it some good context. But I don't know if you all have ever experienced that you just have people that just don't seem to really have good things to say. They're very critical. Maybe you have issues with being teased. Maybe you have issues with being put down. These are some of the things that are triggers. Let's just say that you're in relationship or something like that, and someone is reminding you that nobody else will want you if you're not with me. Or maybe a trigger for you could be that you feel you're not a good mom or a good father. um you know things that the things that kind of take you from 1 to 10. Not all of us get there, but kind of that tee you off. These are triggers, and one of the ways that we are able to know and identify that we are having triggers is by the consistency of conflict that we are having with others. Many times that can paint a picture for us what our triggers actually are, or kind of, because a lot of times some of us, unfortunately, um, get upset so frequently with certain people or just in general that we don't even recognize that usually it's just a handful of things, a theme of things that is really triggering us. And so what happens is when we allow for ourselves to be triggered time and time again, we need to be able to get to the point where we understand what's going on and start thinking about ways that we can get into resolving these triggers, and so that we're not being upset so frequently, that we're not getting into conflict so regularly, and that we're able to build intimate relationships with those who we're in company with.
Wow. Wow. Okay. All right. So you mentioned dealing with these triggers. What are some ways that you have found that people can begin dealing with some of these triggers and really kind of relieve, if you will, the pressure that they may feel that may help them, kind of clear their mind, mental health, mental health, right? So how do they improve their
Mhm.
mental health? That's a good question. How about that?
Okay. So one of the things that's really important is once we bring things into context, once we bring it into light and we understand that there's a problem because I'm being triggered too much. If you notice when you're being triggered, many times you're setting yourself up in a situation to where you're being controlled. So the thing is that if I'm being triggered, and it allows me, it puts me in a situation where I'm being controlled, which allows for someone just at any given time can come and say something to me, especially the people who are, it's some people that's really good at triggering us. They understand what to say to upset you. You see what I'm saying? And so at any given time, they could just come into your world and make you upset, make you get in a situation to where you have conflict, make you feel insecure, make you feel even depressed because they said something where maybe they weren't validating you or complimenting you. So one of the ways that we can kind of learn to deal with this more effectively, to where you just, and this is a lot what I work with my clients, is you first have to be aware, as I mentioned, but then I've got to start asking myself, why am I so sensitive to these triggers? Because many times, uh if somebody says that you're fat, you see what I'm saying? For one thing, do we even want to be in company with people who are triggering us with those kind of words? So that's number one. That's one of the things too to be aware of. That many times the people that are often triggering us, well, sometimes you have to be, you married with folks, y'all got to work it out. But but the thing is that I'm not saying leave your husband or leave your wife.
That's
Not
right.
saying that. Joya did not say that. Okay, but but just to sum it up real quick, because this is a deep one, is that let's put it this way. One of the most important things to know, where you have the power over people triggering you, is know what you think about yourself. See,
Mm,
the only reason many times people can trigger us because they have tapped on. I tell the story that I had dated this one girl at one point, and she said she was a button pusher, you know,
mm.
a button pusher. Like, and I stayed dating her. Like, it's like, what's wrong with you? But that's a whole nother story. But like, she says she's a button pusher.
Right.
That means she's a pro at knowing what you see what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
so the thing is, the only reason a lot of times certain people can press your buttons is because many times what they're talking about, you're not so happy about, you're not so
Mm,
secure about. So they come and tell you that you're a bad mom. One of your relatives try to suggest you're a bad mom, or you raising your kids up and they're just not orderly, or something like that. Or some people have insecurities about their financial status, their
mm-hmm.
educational level, things of that nature. So one of the biggest things that you can do to overcome other people triggering you is to build confidence in what you're being triggered by. Because see, this is the thing. If you don't believe that they see, the problem is a
Mm.
lot of times what they're triggering you by, what do you think about that?
Right.
Do you think that not a good mom? Do you think
Mm-hmm.
that you're not coming through as a man? Do you think that you're a mama's boy? You see,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
why does that
Wow.
bother you?
Yeah.
Do you,
Yeah.
you feel what I'm saying? So, because once we get to the point to where, and this is what I love, because I've been through this and I overcame that stuff. That's why I try to share it with my people. It's like, once you change the way that you think, and you no longer fear the negative about you,
Mm.
and you accept the negative and the positive about you. So somebody can actually say something that's a trigger that's actually true. But because you know you're not stuck there, because you know that you're doing your best, and you know that anybody that's coming to me like this and not offering a solution, this is another sign that I know we're limited time. This is the thing. If someone comes to you with a criticism and they're not offering a solution
Mm.
to help you, they just call you fat and just drop the mic and walk off.
Right.
They're not saying anything to build you up or anything like that. You see what I'm saying? Then that's letting you know that that person has insecurities and problems, and they're leveraging off of me, because some people like to push buttons. They're insecure themselves, and when they find other people that they think are more insecure than them, then they try to trigger you, and they
Mm.
dangle you around. What
Wow.
do you
Wow.
believe? Once
Right.
you believe something different, then you hear somebody say something, and you be like, "Well, that's your opinion." And then they hate that when you say that's your opinion, like it
Right.
didn't get to me. See, that's where you want to be.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So we're gonna pause here for a minute, and guys, this is a good place for our thought of the day, and you'll hear some similar things here. Here we go. All right, so our thought of the day is this. It has to do with this concept that a lot of people may be hearing, and it's called imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is a concept that is being thrown around, and what it means is that you find yourself feeling inadequate in a particular situation because you may think that you don't belong there. Woo, have mercy. Right? So you are a physician. You are a lawyer. You are a counselor. You are a teacher. You are a mom. You are a truck driver. You are whatever it is that you are doing, but you feel inadequate for where you find yourself. And you may say to yourself, if they only knew. Right? If they only realized that I didn't know what I'm talking about, if they only knew that I don't think I'm qualified, if they only knew how scared I am, if they only knew that I don't have confidence. I'll tell you a story. I was someone who suffered with huge imposter syndrome. Now, I had gone to Oakwood University, and I left Oakwood, graduated with a couple of degrees, and I went to the University of Alabama. I was in a PhD program. And at the time, I was the only, it was a new program, and I was one of zero. I was the first, let me say it that way. I was the first African American to be admitted into the program. And I'll tell you, when I got there, I didn't think I should be there. That's right. I had been admitted. I had been evaluated. I'd applied, and I got there. And in my head, right, I kept thinking, wow, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know, right? I kept saying, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And I will tell you that it took a huge toll on my my family. It took a huge toll on me physically. It took a huge toll on me mentally, right? Can you imagine the stress of sitting in a meeting when people are asking you a question about whatever it is, and you're hoping that they don't ask you, right? You're hoping. Now, imposter syndrome is not a phrase that's used because you did not study or you did not prepare or you did not whatever, right? It's not that you don't have the material. It's that you don't think, the self-confidence, like we were just talking about, you don't think you belong. And so how do you overcome imposter syndrome? One, to overcome imposter syndrome, you've got to change your mindset. right? Because everything begins with your belief. If you cannot change what you think, then you can't change how you feel. If you can't change how you feel, you cannot change what you do. And if you can't change what you do, then you end up with the same thing that you've always gotten. So the first thing is to believe in you, believe in yourself, believe that you have the capacity, you have the ability, you have the right to be sitting where you're sitting. Prepare for where you are. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes we are put in situations because people see value in us. You may not have the data. You may not have the knowledge right now for what you need. But because you have demonstrated that you are able to learn, that you're able to lead, that you're able to succeed, then you are promoted into a position. And then now, okay, now let's go figure out what we got to do. 3, a lot of people that are sitting around you, guess what? They are just as nervous as you because they may not know all. They may not understand all. And so you think it's just you, but it's not just you. There are people around you. And then number 4, get a support system. Surround yourself with people who feed into you, people who encourage you, people that give you positive, attaboys, attagirls, right? Just like Mr. Joya said a little while ago, celebrate the victories. If you don't have somebody around you, celebrate them for yourself. And you will find that imposter syndrome begins to wane and it begins to get weak. And all of a sudden, guess what? Here you are. So imposter syndrome. There are things that you can do about it. There are things that you should do about it. And we encourage you. That's our challenge, right? If you feel inadequate, try those things that we just talked about. All right. So Joya, thank you so much so far. Now, let me bring you back on the screen. Oh, there we go. There we are.
All right.
So give us a couple of things that we can do. A couple of things that when our viewers, they turn off the computer, turn off the phone, they get up tomorrow morning, give us some things that they can do to begin working on their mental health.
Definitely. I think what's really important, as I mentioned earlier, is it's so important just to know who you are. Okay. And sometimes I tell my clients, you don't have to wait for the mind to catch up with the truth. Okay. So you're a child of God. You know what I'm saying? You're a child of God. I say this to my daughters. You're a child of God. You're not a failure. You're a leader, not a follower. Greatness is your destiny. That's for all of us. Okay. And just because your mind has been conditioned not to accept or acknowledge or recognize that truth, you don't have to wait for your mind to catch up with the truth in order to start activating, in order to start living, in order to start moving in that direction. It'll catch on because you're creating new pathways in the brain and the mind and introducing this. So know who you are. Know that you don't have to be perfect. Doc was talking about that imposter syndrome, and that thing is so real. Knowing that hey, if I don't perform optimally where I want to, know that hey, that's okay because I have another shot. It doesn't mean we've got to get to the point to where we can separate failure from a failed experience. A failed experience is I didn't get to reach the goal that I wanted to. A failure is there's no hope. And that's the problem. And this is the thing we fear. So the thing is, know who you are. Also a support system. I talked about that. That's a big one. That's huge because see, there is something that happens when you're surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, who are positive, who are affirming, who are validating you, who are going to help you to believe in things that you never knew that you were capable of doing. And so you want to definitely surround yourself with positive people. There's plenty of ways that you can do that. There's social groups you can, meet. Those I forgot the name of it, but different groups, churches, volunteering places. Some of us have trouble building the support systems we need because we've been caught up in toxic support systems. It's time to make something new. And so sometimes using these different avenues to meet people is a good thing. But that's the thing, is just know who you are, get you a great support system, and just try to be as positive as you can. I think it's a good day. I think it's a good thing to, when you can wake up in the morning and have those affirmations, having those things to where you have that thankfulness journal, or that journal that just says, hey, it's going to be a good day, or I am somebody, or I have greatness. Have journaling something positive about yourself on a day-to-day basis is very important. And then I can't leave this one out, man. That spiritual life is key. Having a spiritual life, having that relationship with God just puts the icing on the cake.
Oh, wow. Love it, man. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. The great conversation. Why don't you take a moment and just tell our folks a little bit more about your practice, about what you do, how they can reach you, how they can connect with you. I know you've got Facebook and all that stuff. So let me get you on the screen here and just go ahead and talk to us.
Yes, Joya Wise, Aspire Counseling Consulting Services. We just try to keep it real in counseling. And I know I talked about a lot about relationship counseling. Relationship counseling is not the only counseling that we do. We also have an all-star team of therapists that are able to help out with relationship issues, individual issues that you might have relative to stress, anxiety, just trying to find yourself. Find out who you are, to build up your confidence. It doesn't have to be some extreme mental health issue for you to be able to get support from our team. We have children's therapists on the team as well. And so we're offering a lot of service. We have anger management. We have a group every week on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. for anger management, and we have an awesome leader, and you can get individual coaching one-on-one for anger management issues. And so there's a number of things that we offer to support you with your mental well-being. And just if you wanted to contact us, you can call us directly at 256-212-0567. That's 256-212-0567. You can catch us on the web if you want to check out and get some pictures and things of our counselors at Choya_W at AspireCounselingAL.com. That's Choya_W at AspireCounselingAL.com. And then if you want to link up with us on social media, on Facebook, it's You Aspire Now. You can see it down below right here. And Choya on Instagram is at Choya Wise. So those are some ways to contact us. We promise we'll get right back with you and get you connected. Sometimes it's all about just taking that risk just for the first visit. Just the first visit. If it doesn't work out, whether you see us or somebody else, just try it one time. Do something different. Try that first visit. You don't have to be stuck there, but you might find out that it may be helpful, and we believe that it will.
Awesome. All right. I love it. Let's see. We've got some comments down here. It looks, Chantel says, wow. I have been there as a nurse. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that she's talking about the imposter syndrome. She says, mercy. And guys, please like us, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this video. This was a great one to be with Mr. Wise. Lauren says, great way to close, inspiring words. Dr. Charmaine says, great conversation. She says, very insightful. Thanks, Dr. Wood. Thanks, Choya. And then Dr. Charmaine says, individual counseling helps you create a better relationship with yourself. Now, Choya, we're going to have you come back. We're going to have to have you come back because
definitely.
I have a bunch of things written down here, and the top of my list, it says relationship, right? We were supposed to talk about relationship. We did not talk about relationship. Right.
That's all
but
right.
we're gonna have to get you back. But man, I really appreciate you coming and being open and just talking
Thanks
to
for
our folks. We
having me. Yeah.
thank you so much. Well, guys, that's what we do here, right? So we educate, we empower, and we encourage you to take charge of your life and your health, avoid complications, live a healthy life, and go to the next level. We're so excited that Mr. Wise was able to come from Aspire Counseling. We're going to have him back. You heard him. He promised that he would come back. We're glad that that's there. Please check us out on all of our social media platforms. You'll see those listed on the screen. Please go ahead and go to our website if you're interested in individual coaching, diabetes, wellness coaching, life coaching. Check us out here, of course, every Monday night on our show live. And then our subscription service. If you go there, that'll be in the link and you can sign up with us. You can try us out. And like he said, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And, we want to make sure that somebody is helping you become unstuck. And then if you're interested in weight loss, if you have someone who needs to lose weight, if you have someone who's been working on losing weight, if you have someone who's been on a diet and they've gone on this roller coaster, check out the Masterclass by Dr. Charmaine Wood. The link is in the chat, and we would love to have you there. And this is what you need to know before you start your next diet. Well, this is Dr. Dwayne Wood from Diabetes and Endocrine Wellness Center, in educating, empowering, and encouraging you. We'll see you next week at the next video. Let's get some music and let's get on out of here.